Hey, good morning. Here we are again. This is day 3 of quarantine here in Spain. So far we've done legs workout. Yesterday was upper body, so we're going for the abdominals today and the core. Just remember the good thing about working the abdominals, be the central abdominals and the obliques, is you're also mobilizing your spine. So we're getting our spine moving in the way it's meant to move as well. Don't just think about these exercises as just strengthening the abdominals. Now, as I always say, please listen to your body. I don't know who's watching these videos, if any ailments, any problems, any issues that you have. Just please be sensible and listen to your body. You're not in a class environment where you can communicate with me and say, Sally, this is hurting, so I can't advise you individually. So be sensible. If it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel comfortable, it means the exercise maybe isn't suitable for you in that way. So just leave it, admit it, and go on to the next one, all right? The whole idea of this is that you promote health and you don't cause yourself any injuries. So I'm going to start with the abdominals. And we're working, just put my water bottle out of the way. We're going to be working first with just straightforward abdominal curls. So with the abdominal curls, you only need a mat today, by the way. There's no equipment at all. If you need a cushion underneath your head, because you tend to have quite a big curve here and you want to just lengthen out the back and then go ahead and just put a small cushion. That's absolutely fine. Be comfortable. Pelvis neutral, that means your pubic bone and your hip bones are all level. The gap under the back is irrelevant. It depends on your posture. Some of you will have more gap than others. What we want is these 3 bones sitting on a level plane, that you're not overly tucked under or overly extended. Keep this pelvis as neutral as possible. Feet hip bone distance apart. Think about the whole posture of your body. It's not putting strengthening the body with a bad posture. You want to have a good postural alignment throughout all the exercises. So we're going to put the hands just supporting the skull, very gently, the head. With the elbows lift a little bit. We tend to see people do abdominals where they're flapping the arms. We want to keep the arms nice and stabilized and the shoulder girdle stabilized. Chin lightly drawn in. So to avoid looking at the ceiling, look towards your knees. So breathing out on the way up and in through the nose on the way down. So you can see when I put my head down, I'm avoiding looking up because your head will go where your eyes go. As soon as I look up, my head tips back. So we're looking straight towards the knees. And we're thinking about bringing these bottom ribs towards the line of the hip bones, just closing this gap. And when you do it, you will feel your lower back just shift towards the mat a little bit. We're also thinking about internally the pelvic floor muscles, the muscles that are partly responsible if you're spending a penny and stopping mid-flow and other areas as well. Engaging that whole hammock, internal hammocks, just pulling up internally. And then the belt muscle that runs across from one hip bone to the other. You can see I'm just lightly flattening that every time I come up. So we're just going to do 2 or 3 more of these. You don't want to overdo it. If the number of the reps I do aren't enough, do more. If it's too many, just stop when you've had enough and rest. All right, so the next exercise, if you suffer with your lower back, you're not very strong in the abs, I need you to go into what we call pelvic imprint, spinal imprint. And that is done, we have touched on it the other day when we were doing some legs, not by tipping your pelvis, but by bringing the bottom ribs down towards the hips so that you're just letting the lower back shift the mat. So we've got all of this engaged here. I'm going to bring my arms to the ceiling. You can have your arms to the side. I'm just going to bring mine up so you can see what's going on here a little bit more for the moment. So I'm going to do my imprint. And then I'm going to bring one leg up to 90 degrees. And keeping this area of the back and the pelvis in position, bring the other leg up as well. Now I'm going to relax my arms. I'm going to engage the buttock of one leg and the thigh and extend that leg and then breathe in and bring it back in. The goal is to move the leg without the pelvis or the lower back changing position. Now if you're a little bit weak in the hip flexors or the abs, what you'll find is you'll find this challenging in that your pelvis wants to do this and the back arch up. Your goal is to keep this engaged as you work through the legs. And work through slowly enough to give yourself time to think. Engage the buttock, engage the thigh, straighten that leg, all the while tightening here and the breathing. Another thing that can tend to happen is that because this is quite strenuous, is the shoulders will tighten. Keep the shoulders relaxed, the chest open, and go with the breathing.
If this becomes quite challenging, the lower you extend the leg, the harder this exercise becomes. So you can make this a little bit easier just by taking the legs a little bit higher each time, so you're not overstraining this area. We're going to do one more on each leg. And then you can either just draw them in and have a little rock from side to side just to ease the back out, or just pop the feet back down on the floor. So now you can see I've aligned my feet again, aligned with the sit bones, legs parallel, pelvis back to its neutral alignment, hands are going back underneath my head, placing my arms, placing my head, and we're going to do the obliques, the lateral abdominals. So we're thinking about bringing one rib, the bottom ribs on one side, across to the hip on the other side, as if you've got a big cross painted on your body, and you're shortening a line each time. So you're breathing out to come up and across, and inhale to go down, out through your mouth, and in through your nose. If you can, try to avoid just kind of rolling onto one shoulder blade and then the other shoulder blade. We're actually looking at lifting the torso, the upper body, trying to get those shoulder blades coming away from the mat. And every time I'm coming up, I'm tightening this belt muscle again and contracting through my pelvic floor. So I know there's a lot of things going on and a lot of things to think about, but technique is all important. There's no point in just going through the motions with this. Really think about where you're meant to be feeling this and where you're meant to be working. So working from one side to the other, alternately. We're going to do 4 more. And then we're going to stay with this muscle group, but just work it in a slightly different way. So we're going to do this imprint again by contracting the abdominals, bringing one leg up to 90 degrees, keeping this imprint strongly, breathing out to bring the other one up as well. Now it's quite important with the next exercise that you do keep your knees and your feet separated. If you put the knees together, you'll find the inner and the outer thighs will start to take a bit of the workload, and we're trying to get this area to do as much of the work as possible. So we're keeping the legs apart, knees over the hips. Avoid the legs dropping this way. You can see there my back comes up and I'm putting strain on this area. By keeping the knees every time they come to center over the hips, you're protecting this zone. The arms do need to come up, otherwise we cheat and we push into the arms, and the shoulders are staying down. Okay, be careful you don't feel like the shoulders are doing this. Stabilize your shoulder girdle. I'm keeping my head still. I'm going to breathe out, and I'm going to let the legs stay in parallel, rock to one side, so just letting one buttock cheek come away from the floor, but not the shoulder, and then come back to center. You will feel every time you go over to the side how all of this area is working to stop you from continuing to fall to the floor. You're only going to go as far, and it's very individual, as this doesn't happen. Keep the shoulder down and the arms still. So exhale and inhale. Avoid just twisting at the legs. That's cheating. We're going to go over and center. So I've learned a lot from my clients over the years, all right? Just problems that injuries that become exacerbated by certain exercises, things like that. Very clever ways, unintentionally often, that the body finds of cheating if it finds an exercise too hard. So really think about where you're working, keeping everything slow and controlled, and focusing very strongly on this area. I'm going to do 1 more on each side. And then just draw the legs in and do a little rock from side to side. Okay, so from here, we're coming up to seated. From the lying down position, if you find that you're unable to rock up to seated, just roll onto your side to come up to seated. It's a better way of doing it if you suffer with your back. So we're going to start in the upright position to do the half roll back. We're lining the heels up with the sit bones again, so my legs are parallel. If you find you cramp in your feet,
by keeping the toes down. It's not a problem if you have the toes lifted, that's fine. What I don't want you to do is roll out through the feet. That's very important. So I'm going to reach the arms in front of me with the shoulders back and down. As I exhale, I'm thinking about bringing my belly button towards my spine. So I tilt my pelvis as if I'm trying to get this part of my pelvis back towards the mat, breathing out through my mouth, and then I'm going to breathe in to sit up tall. So I'm exhaling, see my lower back is going to round, I'm tilting through the pelvis, rolling back, and inhaling to come up. Be careful as you go back that you don't sink into your shoulders and tense all of these neck muscles. You need to keep the shoulders down. So have the feeling of the chest staying open, this breastbone lifted. Exhaling and inhale. If you're sensitive with the coccyx, the tailbone, what you can do is just double over your mat, just fold a towel underneath your hips, but make sure it goes back past this area here so you don't roll off the towel or the small cushion. Right, but do protect and make yourself comfortable whilst you're doing exercises. Pelvic floor, belt muscles, still working, of course. Exhale. Inhale, sitting up nice and tall. Breathe out. These muscles here, you might find they start to get a bit tight and a bit fatigued. Imagine these lengthening every time you go back and the workload happening here at the abdominals. I'm going to do 2 more. And then we're just going to rest over the legs. Just let this area just stretch out for a moment between the shoulders, stretch out, and the hip flexors relax a little. Now, it's important that we don't just work on one area of the body. I know we are predominantly doing the abdominals, but I want to make sure we do some exercises that incorporate the back as well. So we're working the opposing muscle group. So I'm just tying my hair up because we're going to go face down. When you're in the face down position, I offer my clients in the classes the option of having a cushion just under their forehead. So if you do take a cushion, don't have it underneath the whole of your face like this. One, you won't be able to breathe. All right, just under the forehead, just so that you're not basically squashing your nose into the mat so you look like you've done a couple of rounds with Mike Tyson when you finish the exercise. It's just to take pressure off the nose. So I'm going to rest my forehead down. I'll do it without a cushion to be able to see my body a little better. And I have the arms down beside me. It is important that you watch what I do with my arms, okay? Because working these muscles here by changing the position of the arms is going to assist the extension, the back movement. Keep your feet on the floor. We're going to do level 1 today. Those of you who are used to come into my classes understand about lifting the legs and doing level 2, please do go ahead. But for those of you who are new to this, keep your feet on the floor. So head down, facing down. My legs are parallel. I'm engaging my abdominals already. I'm not just relaxing them down into the mat. My palms are facing up. As I breathe in, because I'm going to be opening my chest, I'm going to pull up my thighs, clench my buttocks. I'm going to lift my head and chest, and you'll see I'm rolling my shoulders in so that my palms face inwards. My thumbs down, my little fingers up. When I exhale, I return to the mat. But it needs to start thighs, buttocks, and then my abdominals are pulling up, and I'm working my back extensors and between my shoulder blades to lift, and then exhale to come back down. So inhale and exhale. Note my head. There's no neck extension. I'm continuing to look down at the floor. So we're going thighs, buttocks, abs extending. Now, the range of motion is going to be very different per person. Some of you might find that literally just doing this is enough. If you're finding it really strenuous and you're feeling it in your back an awful lot, you can put your hands underneath the head and you can just take a little bit of the weight of your body into your arms. You're not pushing up into the arms, but you're just taking a bit of the body weight. All right, this allows you to be a little bit safer. 2 more. Last one.
release. From there, just to ease out the back, just stretch the back arm and sit back on the heels with the arms out in front. If you suffer with your knees and you find this is not a comfortable position for your knees to stretch out the back, just be on your all fours so there's less flexion at the knees, and just go into a cat cow just to ease out the muscles of the extensors of the back. You are then, however, coming back down onto your front, and we're going to do the plank. I'm sure everyone has heard of the plank. I do believe it was in America. Guys just done it for just under 9 hours, just over 8 hours. So that's something if you'll practice on once you're in quarantine, if you can catch the guy up and do 8 hours of the plank. I don't think I'm going to bother with that one. I'm happy with 5 minutes. We're not doing 5 minutes now. All right, so the legs are parallel. Level 1, elbows underneath your shoulders, the neck is long. This is not the posture. We're driving down into the elbows, sliding the shoulders down away from the ears, and looking kind of towards the end of your mat. Level 1, you're keeping your feet extended, your knees on the floor. When you exhale, you're going to pull up internally, pulling your belly button to your spine, and just lift your hip bones and your pubic bone away from the mat. And you're just going to hold that whilst breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Okay, so in through the nose, out through the mouth. And again, this is totally up to you. You can just do 2 or 3 breaths and think, I need a rest, I've had enough, come down out of it, and then pull up and go again, and see if you can hold it for longer as we progress with the exercise. Level 2, as long as you're okay with your feet to curl the toes under. From this position here, you still start with the pull up and the placement of the shoulders. Once you've got the thighs up, you lift the knees and you hold the position here. Now assist the core, work the glutes, pull up the thighs, glutes, buttocks. All right, squeeze the bum, engage the thighs. Hold this position, nice steady breathing, 5, 6, 10 breaths, whatever you can manage. When you come down, if you're doing the full one, please, very important, your knees first, then your pubic bone. Don't just drop the hips to the mat. So we're just going to do one more together, hoping some of you are still up there holding the first one. All right, we're going to do the level 2. Those of you who feel you can't go into level 2 yet, please just keep your knees on the floor and do the first version I showed you. In through the nose and out through the mouth. So I've got my thighs pulled up, my buttocks engaged, abs engaged, pelvic floor pulled up, and then I'm just going to lower my knees, walk my elbows in, and sit back to my heels. Okay, we have 3 exercises left to do. This is just the same version of the one we did earlier, this half roll back, but this time we're focusing on these obliques again. So we're just going to sweep. I'm actually going to face you because I'm going to run out of space otherwise. I'm going to start here, legs parallel. As I breathe out, I do that initial tilt that we did in the other one, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate my torso, keep this arm still, and I'm going to sweep the hand back and up, and then sweep it forwards again. So I'm tilting, engaging the abdominals, exhaling, this arm stays still, turn my torso, sweep the arm, breathe in, come up. So exhale. Now, again, any discomfort with the tailbone, please put extra padding underneath it. If you're finding this very strenuous as you sweep back, you can place this hand on the knee or behind the knee just to give you a little bit of support. I prefer it on the front of the knee. I tend to find if you place it behind the knee, you start to, you can see I naturally engage here, and I want you working the abdomen. So placing it on the top, there's a little bit less work going on with the arms. Hip flexors, these muscles here, imagine them lengthening. Think about the abdominals working. Breathing out and breathing in. Exhale. Inhale, we're going to do a couple more. Last one. And then rest over your legs again. Okay, 2 to go. We're going to work predominantly the lower part of the abdominals and through the hip flexors, mobilizing the spine. And then we have a really lovely exercise that's going to really move your spine whilst we're working the abdominals. So the reverse curls. You're going to be lifting the legs up in the air. So reminder that before you lift the legs up in the air, we always do our engagement. So we're imprinted. Those of you who are very strong don't need to do the imprint. You can keep your pelvis in neutral and just engage the core equally as well. One leg will then come up and the other one with the ankles crossed. Hands come together, shoulders down into the mat. My neck is neutral. I'm not thinking about swinging my legs in towards me. What I'm doing is I'm thinking about bringing these 2 points by contracting the abdominals closer together. And as I do that, as the hip bones and the ribs move closer together, naturally the legs will come in towards me. So you're not looking for a big movement, tensing the shoulders, moving the head and the neck. It's very subtle, working internally through the pelvic floor, the belt muscle as well. Think about keeping the shoulders and the neck relaxed. And when you take your breath in, as the muscles relax, think about sending the breath into the back and the sides of the ribs, not up here through the belly. Okay, you want to keep the tummy, the abdomen nicely flat. We don't want strong abdominals with a big bowed abdominals, belly, rounded tummy. But across the ankles the other way, only because the underneath leg, the hip flexor, will work just that little bit harder because it's supporting the top leg. So it's just to equal it out a little bit. So I'm trying to keep all of this as relaxed as possible. Think about where I'm really working. Exhaling through the mouth, through pursed lips, as if you're blowing out a candle. It's actually clinically proven that it does actually help with the abdominal contraction to breathe that way. One more. And release. Again, either just hug the legs in or pop the feet on the floor to take a release. All right. And then up to seated. Like I said, rolling onto your side or rocking up to seated. So, side bends. We're going to do level 1 today. Once I've got you going on the level 1 and you've got the reps, hopefully you can just keep doing them whilst I just show you the slightly harder level, because I know there are some of you out there, and it gives you something to aspire to, something that we will be progressing towards depending on your body, your spine, your wrists, your shoulders. Like I said, certain exercises you only get to certain levels depending on the limitations of your body. So we're going to start with an easier level. If you suffer with your elbow and you wish to double over your mat, so you've got that little bit of extra support. If you've got a thick mat, that's absolutely fantastic. We are looking at having the hips stacked knee on knee and the feet level with the hips. That's the angle of the knees. We're going to do a side bend combined with a side twist. We're going to do one of each alternately. So we're going to exhale. You'll see I'll pull up my waist. I will start to bring the arm over. I'm pushing my knees down into the floor and coming over. And then I'm inhaling to come down. Be careful when you come down not to sink. Okay, keep that waist pulled up. Keep the shoulder stable so you don't sink into the shoulder either. Exhale up and over and inhale. Okay, this time you're going to start with the arm up, and as you exhale, twist through. So we're going to do 3 of each. Twisting. If you find this too difficult, too much strain on your shoulder, please keep your hips down and just do the twist. So now we're going to the side bend again. So you're going to exhale, up and over, inhale down, exhale. You're framing your face, avoid turning forwards, keep the chest open to the front. One more. And keeping the arm up, because now I'm going to do the twist through. Level 1 with the hips on the floor. Level 2, I'm going to lift my hips and come over. And then for those of you who want to repeat that again, do 3 and 3 again. Just a quick reminder, because I know there are some of you out there who will be wanting to do the much harder level where you interlock the top foot into the bottom ankle, give yourself enough distance, have the hand away far enough to give yourself the space to lift. As you breathe out, you're coming up and over, and as you breathe in, you bend the knees and come down. And you're going to do, again, the same 3 of these. If that's enough for you on your wrist, you can take a break. For those of you who want to come up and keep the arm up, and then do 3 where you twist through, opening the chest, breathing in, exhale, and inhale, exhale, and inhale, and then coming down. And that is all of your abdominal exercises today. Just so you know, this will be on my Facebook Bodywise page. And then as of tomorrow, what I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to be putting these across onto YouTube. Why? Because a lot of smart TVs these days, it's more immersive, you can see it better. Smart TVs will link to YouTube better. So you might find that the Facebook will only show bits of the videos, and then I'll be giving you the link for YouTube where you'll be able to pick it up and watch the whole video in future. So they won't stop, they're just going to be in a slightly different location, possibly from tomorrow. So enjoy the rest of your day and see you tomorrow. Bye.